Testing, testing. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. El Salvador time here. So let me just try and figure out. Wait, no, that's not right. It's 5 p.m. UK time. So El Salvador, let me check. It's 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. El Salvador, 5 p.m. UK. So dare I say it, good evening or good morning. It's like time differences. They really confuse, don't they? All right. So I've kind of not planned this. I was meant to stream yesterday and I didn't stream yesterday. So I'm just trying to get used to the timings here. And you can't really see, but it's quite, there's an ocean back there. It's quite bright, as you can see. It's quite hard to see the screen actually. So I am wondering if I should find another place in the future, or maybe I'll be fine. All right. Yeah, so there's a little bit of impromptu because I haven't done the stream on Monday for a long time. Usually I do Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And so, okay, let's just see how it goes. I'm just trying to adjust my timings a little bit because obviously I can't do it at 11 a.m. UK time anymore. It's too early here. So I'm just thinking maybe around this time, about 5 p.m. UK time. It's going to be after the London close, after the New York Open. It's a bit late, I guess. I have to see how that goes. All right. So anyway, let me just, what I wanted to do before I started was to post my link. So I'm going to do that. Give me a second and then I'm going to start the analysis. I just have to post it into Discord, which is what I'm going to do right now. And if you're not following me, then you're welcome to join my Discord channel. I'm not really active there at the moment. I do post the link like this, as you can see. Everyone. Live stream started now. Let's do that. Wait, the computer's lagging a little bit. All right. Doesn't matter. Could be the heat. So on Friday, I was talking about this long. I think you remember. Anyone who's watching my stream will know about this long that I was talking about. Let's have a look at my stream on Friday. So just to remind everyone what I was talking about. And I did cut a video. This is the one. So I'm in sunny El Salvador. Let's have a look at the analysis I did on Friday. Without going into too much depth. There you go. That was it. Okay, let's have a look at that. And not to lose this trend line again, but somehow, you know, just to kind of get really bearish here, fill these gaps, push down as hard as possible without meaningfully losing this breakout line. At the moment, the sell-off is pretty brutal, so I have to let that play out to see what happens. But ideally, the sell-off falls flat at the lows here, and then it comes into liquidity. I'm just thinking, even though you should get a reaction from the value area low in the golden pocket there, and the reaction could be, you know, it could be bounce up and then down. I just think further down the 786 with this kind of intersecting trend line, with the single prints being filled here, would be better. that was pretty nice analysis. Hold on, my battery's low. I think that should be good. We're back. Yes, I'm charging. All right. So that's pretty interesting analysis. And let's just go to the charts now. And look at that. Isn't that amazing? So yes, look at that. What do you say? What do you say to that? And then I kind of made a trade plan here.
See, you would love this. You want to basically take it back up to the value area high of the golden pocket of the 1 to 10 minute time frame. I think
all right, so kind of, what do you say to that? Would you say exactly as predicted, or would you say genius? You know, it's all a balance of probabilities. Did I take that trade? No, I didn't take the trade. Okay, I'm not trading at the moment. I've already explained that, but I am streaming as though I am trading. Yeah. In these kinds of trades, when you have a plan like that, you need an alert. You just need to risk your 0.5 to 1%, and you just need to see what happens. And in this situation, you would have taken this is your take profit one already. Yeah, because you would have taken a trade. Let's say you got a bit late. You're already up at 1%. You've already hit the value area low, and you're coming into resistance now. The back test of this golden pocket, the price could easily reject. Okay, and that's why you take profit, because if it rejects, you don't want to be caught in a trade which started off well and has gone wrong. You want to be stopped out of that trade, but you also want to make sure you take profit, because you need to win a trade. Yeah, it's better to win a small trade than to lose, break even, or to lose a trade. Yeah, it's better to just win a little bit consistently than to just go for big gains and not win at all. So that was that. Let's have a look at the analysis now on the rest of Bitcoin. Wow, that's a really nice analysis, wasn't it? That was really nice. I do say so myself. I'm pretty impressed by myself. All right, so let me just hide this stuff, and let me just redo this completely again. Let me hide all of these. Let me update the volume. Where's that trend line? It's that one. Get rid of that one. Sometimes I like to look at my old analysis to determine what's going on. Okay, that's the local volume. Just wanted to update the local volume first, just to see if there's any changes to the volume. We're trying to get back into this local value area, which is nice to see. And as you've already seen in my previous video, which I showed, we've had a nice reaction off this back test of this trend line of the 786. So that was quite an important place for the price to find support. Little front run on the 786, but effectively that's what it was. I think the next kind of indication for continuation to the upside, or some kind of meaningful reversal here, will be to re-flip this golden pocket into support. And so at the moment it's not, clearly, because it's just gone through it. We're not finding any respect here, and it's at the value area low as well. So there is a really important zone here for the price to either find support or to find resistance. Yeah, and it's not doing either or at the moment. We found support off a lower back test of this trend line, which I indicated on Friday. We've come down for a little front run of the 786, which is fine. A really nice reaction. Okay. And now what we need to do is to show strength. Showing strength here would be to reclaim the value area low as support. It's really important to find support here back into the value area. Okay. That would be a deviation from the lows. It would be a deviation from the range. It would be a little fake out, call it what you want. And then we're back into the range. When you're back into the range, you're looking to go back to the top of the range once you're back into the range. And that's really what we want to see. I think it's logical for us to find support here, just simply because we filled the gaps. We've come for a back test of this breakout trend line, and we're potentially putting in a higher low somewhere around here, which is what you want to see after we took the all-time high. The all-time high was a failed rejection, a failed auction. And so naturally there's the key level to watch on the way back up. Wherever we put in the lower pivot will be the golden pocket. And so we don't really know where the lower pivot has been put in just yet, but we do know where the golden pocket is going to be. And so whatever happens on the way back up, whatever happens, if we do manage to find our way, that's going to be an area to watch for a lower high. Yeah, it's always possible to form a lower high. Even if this looks bullish or feels like we're putting in a higher low, we could go up and put in a lower high. And so you just got to bear that in mind. Anyway, let me have a look at these higher time frame levels now quickly. Let me have a look at the weekly time frame candle just to see whether. So what can I say? That weekly candle is looking really, really quite bearish. Really quite bearish. Okay. There's no two ways to put it. It's an increase in volume rejection from the all-time high, isn't it? Yeah. It's a red candle. It's better that it's red than green. If it was green, it would be more problematic. If it was red, red means the bears are in control. The bears have taken control, and they've sold the all-time high, and they've managed to close the price back in the range, but to the lows of the range, but it's still in the range. Yeah, it's looking pretty bearish. And so what we have to see is we'll have to see what happens next. Let's have a look at these monthly candles. Yeah, the monthly candle's taken the monthly all-time high as well. That's not a good sign either. We we might be in a monthly doji here, and that's something to bear in mind. So even though it's looking bearish, we could end up with a monthly doji. If it's green, it would be worse. You almost want a red doji. And even red wouldn't look good either. Yeah, this isn't good. The candle's not good. It's not a good candle. Doesn't mean we're going down. It's just something to keep in mind. Look at this 3-day candle. That was a bearish engulfing from all-time highs. One day and 8 hours to go. So far decreasing volume. So maybe not as bad as it seems. Let's have a look at these 2-day candles. They get the previous 2-day candle wasn't too bad actually. It closed above the previous low. This one is closed. It looks like it wants to close lower. Okay. Let's put these lines back and let's mark out my levels. Let's put these all the way back up to the top. Local volume. Higher time frame levels, that's what I want. Let's just mark out these weekly levels. So we have a new weekly level there, as you can see. This previous wish, this wash weekly level, I think we're going to get rid of it and put it down here. And this new weekly level, you see that? Why wasn't that open? Why doesn't that open so I can edit it? I can't edit. So annoying. Whatever. That's fine. Weekly. What's the monthlies looking like? Nothing in the monthly. And the dailies. Let's have a look at these dailies. Get rid of these two. That one can go to the top there. So yesterday we had a green candle. Today it's clearly looking red. That's not a daily level just yet, just because today's candle hasn't printed yet. That's a green candle. It's looking really bearish candle yesterday. It's a swing failure, green swing failure of the previous candles. Looking really, yesterday's daily candle was really bearish, FYI, and that's why we're seeing this sell-off. We have a weekly down here and we have a daily down here too. Then we have a daily further down and then we're into a daily. So we have a few dailies that we're into right now. Gonna have to refresh my screen. Just give me a second. Daily, weekly, daily. There's quite strong support here, slightly lower down. Let's pull that up again, local volume. We have the volume, we have that. We have the fibs. Okay. Where's that trend line? Let's put that up there. Trend lines. Okay, we'll keep those trend lines. Let's have a look and see what the order flow is looking like as well. Let's see if we can find some single prints. We're getting a little bit of bullish CVD right now. So as you can see, the CVD is going lower. The price is going higher. So we're putting in higher lows here. CVD is putting in lower lows. This is quite bullish at the moment. We're above the VWAP. We're above the daily. No, we're down. We're below the daily open, but we're above the VWAP. So the daily open is going to be the biggest resistance on the way up, but we're above the VWAP. So potentially we could go up to test the daily open again. We're showing bullish CVD. So this is actually looking to be quite bullish price action right now on the order flow. The price is being absorbed by limit longs, higher limit longs. Okay. Let me have a look and see if there's any single prints. Yeah, there's some single prints here. I'm going to mark them out in chat. And I'm going to mark them on the... I'm going to mark them out So you could write them down. Oh, is this working? Yes. 117906 to 118101. So that's the first group of fingerprints. And there's another set of fingerprints here. And two sets of fingerprints. 118592 to 120712. And then we have a third group of fingerprints higher up. 122078 to 123297. Marked out all the fingerprints for you. Let's have a look at the order flow and imbalances. Yeah, we're seeing really nice bullish CVD here on the order flow. And let me have a look at the TPO. Oh, we've actually put in some fingerprints on the way up now. So that's quite good to see. We're getting a little bit of bullish price action here. You can see there's fingerprints on the way down. I've marked them out. Right, so let's go back to something else. Let's have a look here. All right, we'll go back to the main charts, and I'm going to add the single prints back in on the chart. Find my single prints folder. There it is. So here, naturally, I'm going to have to update my charts because I've got these single prints which I have to now remove. You see that? The single prints filled, and then we saw a reaction. And now that I've got some new numbers for single prints, I can add those back in and change it to my single print line. So let's start at 117906. One 118-101. There's your first group of single prints, and then higher 118592. And 120715. Oh shit, that's a big one, huh? That's a big one. They may be a little bit bigger. And 122 a bit higher up here. To 123297. All right. So I've got the single prints in now. So these are basically zero volume areas where the price has slipped without putting in any significant volume. It's single volume, that's why it's called single prints, because the volume it puts in is one number, one digit volume, which is nothing, which is basically zero. And so what you get are gaps in the market where the price has moved without creating any volume as the price has moved through those areas. Naturally, what happens in the markets is that the price always comes back to fill those gaps, put in volume before it continues going in the same direction usually. So in this case, because we're starting to reverse, there is every chance that the price will go right back up to fill the gaps before it continues. Yeah, there's every chance that it will do that. It's a balance of probabilities. Okay, and it's also a good place to see where there's liquidity or where the price is finding areas to find where the price is can find support and resistance. All right, so we have our single prints now. We have our higher time frame levels. We have our local volume. We have our fibs. All right, And the last thing I want to put back in is the naked points of control. So for that, I'm going to go back to the order flow. I'm going to look at the daily levels, the weekly levels. Give it a second to load. So this is the daily points of control, and see if there's any naked daily points of control. This is today. Yesterday's naked point of control. These are all tapped, 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 tapped. No, it's all been cleared. See that? All of those naked points of control. So the only liquidity is underneath us, a bit lower down. Let's go to the weekly. Yep. So we have a weekly naked point of control at 117990. 117990. I'm going to kind of write that in. It's good to mark those numbers out because that's a level of liquidity. And then here I've got another folder where I add those called mpox. Get rid of these ones. These dailies have gone now. Dailies have gone. And then we're just looking for this 117. Change it to my weekly color. All right. So here I have all of my information. I'm going to unhide all of it. Plus the fibs. Okay. And effectively, this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at black spaces and lines, and the lines are liquidity areas. And so naturally what you can see is the price is coming back into this golden pocket area. We're at the local value area low. There's a daily level there. So we're into resistance right now. There's resistance higher up, as you can see here. And then there's kind of resistance lines as we go up, but nothing that really stands out apart from maybe this top one right at the top here, where you've got a daily level and the close of a single prints, the end of a single prints at the top. We're coming into resistance now. It's the back test of this golden pocket and a daily level and the local value area low. Okay, but the price is trying to get back into the value area. Yeah, off the original long plan that I had, which I talked about on Friday. Yeah. And so we got the reaction. That's kind of what I wanted to see. I feel like we're still bullish still, just because the price is doing what I wanted, or what I wouldn't say expect, I'd say wanted, coming for a back test, which I drew out on Friday. I was talking about the price coming back to test this area. Hasn't hit the 786 yet, so there is a chance to come back down just for one more liquidity grab. There is a chance of that, or this could be it. What next? So look, so this is the key. We've got the reaction. We've come into a back test of this trend line, and now what needs to happen is we need to continue with strength. I'm just looking at the charts now. I think the most important area now is this golden pocket area. We really need to flip this daily level and this 618 into support. I think it's a really important level. Yeah. See, and we've had a little front run rejection off it right here. You see that? It's a really important level. Yeah. That would be back into the value area, but the value area in this outer edge of this golden pocket probably isn't as important as this daily level in this golden pocket. I think if we can do that, whatever happens here, I think whatever happens here, we need to flip this level back into support. And then let me just check one more thing. And that's just, I just want to check to see if the CME gap was filled, because I didn't check that. Yeah. Wasn't much of a gap, to be honest with you. But it was filled. If there was a gap, there was filled. Put in quite a lot of sell volume this week. We've started off so bearish. We've just gone straight down, huh? And usually I find that problematic because you clear the liquid. We've already cleared the liquidity, and I think what we want to see here is continued absorption. Possibly for another sweep to hit this slightly lower level. Possibly exactly like I said. I think we probably need to take the lows here one more time and to kind of hit this daily weekly level and another test of this lower trend line, and to actually hit this 786 without getting a 786 front run. Yeah. So even though the original trade plan that I had was correct, I think right now there is also another chance that we go down again, just to pick up more liquidity and just get people more bearish. And then whatever happens, I do want to see this golden pocket area re-flip back into support. And so until I see that, I'm not convinced. So like right now I'm looking at the price. Yeah, there is a possibility that we're trying to find support here. Whatever happens, you need to go up, and then you need to find support. You can't just, this isn't support. What we need is to go up and then come back down to find support. And until we see that, we won't know what's going on. So right now we're kind of trying to find out if this resistance will hold or if we're going up higher, and or if this resistance holds and we're going back down. I see that there's bullish CVD, so we might be range bound in this area for a while, and we might actually kind of go up to go back down. You know, like we could put in some volume here, but I think the next long would actually just be a swing failure of these local lows again, exactly like I drew, or a clean back test of this area. That's what I'm thinking. Without putting a lower high, and that's the other danger. The danger is lower highs, because you have these single prints and you could easily put in a lower high. It looks quite bullish, but actually you end up putting a flag. You end up flagging to go back down again. So we're in a bit of a indecisive area where the price could easily find support here. It's the right place, or we could get continued rejection. And so it's hard to know which. While you see bullish CVD, you're still thinking up, and I've got higher targets which haven't been hit at 130. But at the moment, because we're seeing bearish structure and price action, we have to be mindful that the price could continue to go down. But we have seen our first support reaction from support. Let's see if we get continuation. If we do get continuation, the next level would be about 116.5 to flip into support. Otherwise, we're going down for another sweep of the lows, and to see if we can get a reaction from this weekly daily level slightly lower down. So while I had the original long, which was correct, here, that was the correct long. It is possible now that we go down, the next one could be slightly lower, just a clean sweep. And actually, it would be a swing failure would be the entry, really. You wouldn't necessarily jump in You'd wait for the reaction, you'd wait for the swing failure, back off that local pivot for another long. Otherwise, you just have to see what happens here. Ideally, what you want is a reclaim of that level before you enter long again. Right now, what you've got is people taking profit because the price has moved up at least 1% from that original long position that I marked out. Clearly, and so naturally, people will take profit. They'll take profit and they'll make sure their trade is risk-free in this area. So we're looking at a little bit of an indecisive couple of days, I think, and anything can happen. It's quite indecisive. Again, looking at the weekly time frame candle, it's looking quite bearish. Yeah, it's looking quite bearish. You're potentially here on the weekly time frame getting a triple top. 1, 2, 3. And that's quite dangerous. Let me just hide these and I'll show you. You've got your 2 pins. 1, 2, one more, lower high. And you're down. You're finished. Potentially. The alternative here is some kind of rising wedge, which is still bearish. You put in a higher high. You can grind up. That we don't know when that will end, because if it just puts in higher lows, higher highs, it could just keep on grinding like that. It's still bearish, okay? In these situations, you can get 2 outcomes. You can get a blow off, breakout, blow off top, and then it's down, or it's just down, okay? It still ends bearish when you get these rising wedges. It feels bullish if you break the top, but that usually only ends up in a blow off top. It doesn't usually end up with a continued rally for continuation. That's the balance of probabilities. And so it'd look really bullish and it would be a really nice alt pump if we got that. But ultimately it would still end with a crash however we pump. So we're starting to form some real kind of bearish structure here. I don't know how last week could have ended to make this bullish, to be honest with you, because maybe a higher close would have helped with a green candle, but it's still a pin with increasing volume in the all-time high. I mean, there's no way to be bullish about that. I think what we need now this week is an increase in volume with the prices not moving, or the price is just staying here. If we can get like an increasing volume but the price is still staying here, then that could help us change our bias a little bit. And we're at the beginning of the week and we still have a few days to go before we can see what happens. Look today, look how much volume is coming out today. So that's actually not a bad sign. Quite high volume and the price hasn't moved, which shows you that there's quite heavy absorption here. That's not a bad sign. The RSI is bearish, as you can see. The CCI is well oversold. So you can see the absorption. Yeah, we're in oversold territory right now and the price is putting in higher lows. We're getting quite heavy absorption still here. Let me have a look at my other indicators here and see if I can see anything. Price cycle top. I like to have a look at that. It's pointless because we're so far away from it. Yeah, we're miles away from a price cycle top. Yeah, we're kind of really exhausted. The price is exhausted, oversold. Yeah. Put in another exhaustion level there. Okay. So I think that's Bitcoin. I've kind of marked out all the levels. I've kind of told you what I'm thinking for the next couple of days. Potentially, I'm a little bit bearish on the higher time frame now, but I can clearly see that we're getting some bullish reaction off these lows with some bullish CVD. So I don't think the buying has ended just yet, but potentially on the higher time frames, the weekly time frames, I'm starting to get some bearish vibes just by looking at the way these candles have formed with the volume. We're coming into some really important liquidity levels slightly lower down. They will probably hold because we're starting to see a big absorption, and then we have to see how this next week plays out. The next 2 weeks are going to be quite important, and then ending the month, we'll have to see how this monthly candle turns out, because for all intents and purposes, it could, I don't know, it's the monthly candle is looking quite bearish to me at the moment. With this kind of, it's looking like a Morningstar doji at the moment. I have to see how that plays out. All right, so that's Bitcoin for today. I'm going to start streaming a little bit more often, maybe a daily stream or 4 times a week now. I'm starting to stream a little bit more now that I'm here in El Salvador. I've got a bit of time to stream a bit more. You can't really see what's happening in the background, but there is an ocean here. We've got some palm trees. Yeah, I'm in El Tunco, right by the coast in El Salvador. All right, let's have a look at some other things. All right, so naturally, I'm just going to go straight to TRVL. That's D-Travel. You see that I'm wearing a D-Travel hat. If anyone is not familiar with D-Travel, then do your own research. D-Travel is a decentralized Airbnb without the Airbnb. It's Airbnb without the Airbnb. You can go onto their website. It's a decentralized autonomous organization. It's a DAO. It's all decentralized. It's a decentralized real world network. And if you go to this link, june.com/dtravel-DAO/dtravel-network-analytics, you can see the real world network that's growing from the beginning to now. You can see that we now have currently 10,664 host operator signups. On our real world network, we have 5,357 active listings. And this is a number that just keeps on growing. It doesn't drop, it just goes up. We are in 1,206 cities across the world. We are in 139 countries across the world. Not all of them yet, but we will get there. We have 10,664 operator host signups. We have 5,357 listings according to this. Slightly more than what I originally said. You know, it's the same number. This is our cumulative GMV. So $1.34 million. That's how much value that D-Travel has transacted through the real world network, through peer-to-peer vacation rental bookings, and the average booking value is $828. That's the average booking value. This is the lifetime of D-Travel, starting back, although the stats here start in March 23, I can tell you that D-Travel began in August 22 because I was the first property to host on D-Travel. If you search for my name on Google, my name and D-Travel, you can find some articles. D-Travel claims the August the 4th, 2022. D Travel claims the first short-term rental booking using blockchain and smart contracts. So back in August 22, I hosted the first on-chain transaction at one of my listings hosted by D Travel in London. This was paid and settled using crypto, using smart contract on chain, and they came and stayed there for about a week, paid using USDC on the Binance chain. So I hosted the first D Travel listing, and that came slightly before these analytics show, because you can see here the analytics started in March 23, and so there was a really kind of gentle growth at the beginning, and then it started to take off. As you can see, that we've only just begun, really. When you look at our network and you see that we're only 5,000 plus listings, when you compare that to other centralized short vacation rental companies like Airbnb, like Vrbo, or Booking.com, you'll know that we have a lot of room for growth. And as long as we just continue growing, then basically you're onto a winner. Anyone who's involved with D Travel is onto a winner. And I'll explain why, because I don't think people understand the use case for D Travel. And this is what I've been talking about. You've got people like myself who have their Airbnb business, and we always get repeat guests. We always get people come back, or people who talk to us directly and they want to book our properties because we've been doing it for a long time. Yeah. And everyone is like me. Yeah. Everyone has their properties. Who's in the business, everyone has their properties, and everyone's always looking to rent out their properties to whoever comes, really. Now, most people do it for Airbnb and Booking.com, and so do I. Okay, so there's no difference between me and anybody else. I'm on Airbnb, I'm on Booking.com, and that's where we get most of our traffic. So at the moment, most people, when they're looking to travel, they're looking at Airbnb and Booking.com, and that's where they're finding our listings. But what people don't realize is that a lot of the time we get a lot of repeat guests. Yeah, they either come to your property like in London and they're coming back on a business trip, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to save money. And naturally, if they can book directly, especially if they've been to a property for the first time, they can save 15%. And I'm happy to just pass on the saving. I'm not trying to make a quick buck, especially from people who've come and stayed before and who I know are good guests or good travelers, and they'll take care of my property. And so I'm not really in the business of trying to make an extra buck from people who are loyal or people who are coming back. What I'd rather do is pass on the savings and let them have a really, really good experience. So I'm just kind of logging in now to my backend, and I just want to show you what I do. And so naturally, when I get repeat guests, they'll message me and they'll say, hey, I'll give you an example. So right now I had a guest and she wanted to stay a little bit longer. So she already booked using Booking.com, and she wanted to stay a little bit longer, an extra 2 days. Okay. And so I asked her, I said to her, well, how would you like to make the booking for the extra 2 days? Would you like to make the booking and extend it on Booking.com? Okay. Or would you like to book it directly? And she said she doesn't mind. And I said, well, let's just do it directly because it's probably going to work out cheaper for you. And lo and behold, I sent her a reservation link. And yesterday she paid using D Travel. And so she made the original booking on Booking.com. She wanted to extend by a couple of extra days. We could have done that through Booking.com, but then Booking.com would have taken the additional 2 days fees, which is about 20% plus tax. Okay, so instead of doing that, I passed on the savings to her and got her to pay for the extra two days directly. So she ended up paying less, and it made no difference to me at all. And so effectively, we're just cutting out the middleman, and she made a payment using my reservation link, which I sent to her. And then what you get on Telegram is you get a confirmation of that transaction. So here it is. If you go back up on Telegram, you'll see, hold on, where is it? It should be here somewhere. Here it is. New booking processed, direct stay London, hosted by Amir, just process the direct booking. And so these are the use cases which you don't necessarily consider, where you've got people making alterations or you've got guests coming back. They don't want to pay the extra 15% plus tax or 20% plus tax. Sometimes on booking.com, it can go up to 30%. And they will extend or they'll come back, and then they just want to book directly. Now, what happens is that D-Travel processes the booking, and then D-Travel will take a percentage of fees that goes to the DAO, that goes to the decentralized autonomous organization. But also, because we're in the promotion stage at the beginning of our startup, the hosts who are paying the 3% will get back the 3% in TRVL. So I get that money back. That's the promotion. So there's a real use case here, and this is just the beginning of our network. In the future, what we'll get is we'll get a real, a highly populated list of properties. And in the future, what you'll get is you'll get people who won't actually search on Airbnb. They'll just come straight to D-Travel. And so at the moment, because we've only got 5,000 or so listings, naturally when people are searching in some countries, there's limited options. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm here in El Salvador, because if you go right now to El Salvador and you do a search for El Salvador, yeah, look, no results for this in this area. And that's a real big problem, because it limits. What we need is, we need like hundreds of properties in every country across the world. That's what we need. So if you can imagine that we're on, how many countries are we in now? Let's have a look again. We're in 139 countries at the moment. And what we need to do is, let me just get the calculator. We need at least 200, I would say, in each country to be taken seriously. At least 200, somewhere between 100 and 200. That means we need about 30,000 listings worldwide, and right now we're at about 5,300. So we need about a 6x increase in our listings to get to a stage where people will just naturally just go onto D-Travel and search for D-Travel for anywhere they want to go in the world, rather than trying to find it elsewhere and then trying to find it on D-Travel. And then above and beyond that, what we need to do is we need to give people an incentive to book on D-Travel directly, and that will happen naturally because people are always looking to save money. But at the moment, it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation where you've got people searching but they can't find, or people are looking to book but it's not there. And so we're in that kind of early stage where we're trying to populate our real world network. That's why I'm here in El Salvador. And actually, when you look across Central South America, you see actually we've got a lot of work to do. But like I showed you, there is a real use case, and that increases the stats of my properties. And so when I kind of refresh it here, I've got 34 completed bookings now in 3 years, and I have realized earnings still a shade under 65. I can't get it above 65 just yet, But this is real world use case that I'm showing you right now, and people are booking directly, or they're coming back to me, or they're adjusting their reservations, and instead of sending them back to Airbnb or to booking.com, I'm just processing the transaction through D-Travel. Okay, I imagine a future where in the future people would say, oh, I just want to find this accommodation, find me the cheapest accommodation. I'll be searching on an AI, and that's where they're going to find cheap accommodation, and that's when actually we're going to come into our own, when AI actually starts to find people cheap accommodation and uses our search engine to do that. The same accommodation, rather than go on Airbnb, AI will be able to find it cheaper, and they'll actually be using our search engine probably more than anyone else in the future. So we're still early. I think we're quite early, right? If you go to back to the Telegram, you can stay up to date with everything that's happening. So Andrea has been posting, look at this, a new milestone unlocked, over 10,000 nights booked through direct websites powered by D-Travel. Proud to see crypto adoption growing in more travel experiences. Let's spread some love to D-Travel's recent X post. So this is important. Let's share the love. Let's see what it says here. That's a big achievement, like 10,000 room nights booked. That's a big deal. I'm going to print screen that and send it to a friend. Okay. What else is there on Telegram? That's the place to get all the information, if anyone's interested. Let's have a look at the general chat. New booking site activated, new booking processed, new booking processed. So this is quite interesting. Let's see what Ferryman says. Ferry says, good luck, Eric. I love to focus on SMBs. How big is the team currently? What is the runway? Are there any plans for letting the token holders participate more? Yes, really good questions, Ferry. And Andrea says there will be more exciting updates to be posted this week, including milestones, stats, partnerships, and more. We are just preparing everything to share with you ASAP, but our priority this weekend was to give you an update about the price dump, change of administration, and next plans. Radioactive is here talking. Also, any update about Coinbase users? Last week there was also a tweet. Radioactive is back. Let's have a look. Does he say anything else? Here's Eric's response to Ferry. Thank you. Really appreciate the support. Honestly, I would like to say that Eric is the right choice. I've known Eric now for 4 years personally. I've met him and his family and his children in London and in Austin, in Dallas, and in America. And I can't vouch for a better person to take over right now. He's been involved in the operations side of D-Travel basically since Cynthia became the CEO. And he's basically been highly critical, highly pivotal in the real world application succeeding. And I think the biggest success is the real world application. But a lot of people don't realize it. The crypto aside, clearly we've had problems with TRVL and the crypto aspect of D-Travel. Clearly, yeah. Clearly the tokenomics has been a complete and utter flop, and the market hasn't received the idea of the Night Protocol, and some other issues has arisen over the last few years. But one thing I can vouch for is the real world app. The real world app has been growing from strength to strength, and I keep on talking about my usage of the real world application. Yeah, and like I'll keep on talking about it because I think it's just something to celebrate. Yeah, when you're looking at these figures, when I've completed 34 real world bookings and I've turned over $65,000 in real world revenue using D-Travel, just through repeat and bookings and alterations and just bookings completely outside of any search engine or even D-Travel search engine, because that's relatively new. This is all kind of repeat customers or customers coming back trying to book directly. And you can see how D-Travel has transformed my business, and it's added some, this is new value coming into my business. D-Travel's made that happen. So you can see that there's value here. And I think Eric has been largely responsible for making this happen. All of this back end and all of this reservations and all of the listings, and this is all Eric. And so I can't vouch for someone higher than him. And I think going forward, it's really important that we support the new leadership. Here he writes, thank you, really appreciate the support. The size of the core team has shifted to reflect our new structure and focus. I expect we'll stay around, whatever this means, about 13 FTE contributors this year. We have a runway to sustain that. One of our near-term goals is for the host-facing product operations to reach self-sustaining revenue, preserving burn for testing new product initiatives and growth flywheel initiatives, including ways for TRVL holders to participate more directly. More on that soon. So he answers the question, but he doesn't reveal too much. We've also established direct comms channel with KuCoin, where we're actively working to get the tag removed. Ultimately, the best way to avoid tags like this in the future is to grow awareness and traction from new users, hosts, and long-term holders. We're focused on doing exactly that. New booking process, etc., etc. Okay, DMs. All right. So that's the latest from Telegram. I think this is the real shockwave, isn't it? So we have a new leader. The CEO's gone. Cynthia, who was also a co-founder, is gone. I can tell you that another founder is gone too. So it isn't just Cynthia, another co-founder's gone. And why is that? Why are all of a sudden these founders leaving? Is it because they no longer believe in D-Travel? No, I don't think so. I think anything happen, you know, people's real life circumstances can change, you know, life, you know, people can spend time on a project and it might be the time to move on and the fresh blood and fresh energy, and they can pass on the baton. It doesn't mean anything. I don't think people should read too highly into that. I don't think it's a bad thing, to be honest with you. I think it's probably a really constructive thing to get new eyes and new leadership and possibly a new direction. When you look at the TRVL token in the whole of the previous tenure of the leadership, the price has only gone down. Yeah. If you think about it, ever since Cynthia was the leader, the price has dropped 98.8% in value. So I can't see it being a bad thing. I don't necessarily think we're going to go down any further. I think actually it's quite exciting that we're getting a change and a shift. And Eric has already confirmed that with the current tenure, our runway is safe. And so we don't have a problem with, like, even after the price of TRVL has dropped so dramatically, we don't have a runway problem. And actually we have an injection of energy and fresh ideas to turn this project. I wouldn't say turn it around, because I think we're on the right course, at least as far as the real world application is concerned. But I think when it comes to the crypto side, we do need to turn that around. All right. Now, this is the thing. I've got lots of ideas. Yeah, we all have lots of ideas of how to turn this around. No one really knows what's going to happen. Yeah, we can only look at the charts and imagine the future. That's what I try to do. I look at the charts and I'm imagining the future. What am I seeing now on this weekly time frame on TRVL? It's a tricky one, huh? Because it looks really bearish, huh? It looks really bearish. But it does also look quite bullish. And I've said this before. You've got a clear rejection from the high. Okay. But we have put in a high. So the high gives us confirmation of a market structure change to bullish. We're in weekly bullish market structure. What does that mean? That means we're putting in higher highs and higher lows. This is our higher low. That's our higher high. That's our range right now as far as lows and highs are concerned. So I'm just going to mark this out. What shall I use? I'll just call it. That's your range high right now. That's your range low, right? So we've got a pretty big range on TRVL, and we're basically dead center, aren't we? Look, if we go down, we could go down another 30%. Are you ready for that? 30%. And then if we go up to range high, we're up 50%. So we're in a really, we're looking at potentially quite big swings in this range as we try to find the bottom here. I have been talking about an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and I think if everyone can go back to the beginning streams, the beginning of July, you'll know that I talked about a left shoulder here, a complicated head here, and a form of right shoulder here. And that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for a right shoulder to be formed right here, right now. Oh, stream is freezing, huh? It could be my problem, actually, Defage. I wonder if the replay will freeze or not, because it could be just live. My laptop is really hot. So short of restarting my stream, I don't know what else to do. Restarting my laptop. I could do that quickly and come back. Shall I do that? Oh, shit. It's loading a mirror. I'm not getting any drop frames. Let me restart my laptop. Let me see if that fixes it. I don't know if I should do this. Let me try. Testing. I'm back. Can you tell me if it's lagging? It doesn't say I'm getting any lag here. So that's the reason why I'm wondering where the lag is coming from. Is it lagging still? Still freezing? Chilly? Defage? This is not good. All right, I hope it's not freezing. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Defage in Chile said that it's freezing, so what can I do? All right. Once I get confirmation that it's okay, I'm going to continue. Nothing show. What does it mean, nothing show? Black screen. Why is it black screen? Nothing show. Show. I don't know, Chili. All right, let me just continue anyway. Oh, you see it. Okay, finally. That's good. Maybe my computer needed a restart. All right. So let's just go back to TRVL. So what's happened here is a combination of something bullish and something bearish. You have a bullish weekly higher high. Okay. So this is what I've been talking about since we've been looking to change market structure on the weekly time frame. We put in a lower low here, a lower high here. This is your all-time low, which is another lower low. This was your first higher high. Okay. This became your higher low, and then we just took out the higher high there with another higher high. So we're putting in higher highs, we're putting in higher lows. This is actually bullish. The structure of the market is now bullish. And what happens next? Well, oh, Chili's saying black screen again. The problem is that the weekly time frame candles show a pretty bearish rejection here. Okay, now is that good or bad? Well, on the onset it looks bad, but there are some positive signs, and I'll explain. Okay, first and foremost, when I opened up the Bollinger Band, you'll see on the weekly time frame, you'll see that what's actually happened on the weekly time frame is that we've held the weekly 20 moving average Bollinger Band as support. Do you see that? That is a good sign. So even though what we've actually done last week is quite significant, we've put in a higher high there, and we've held the weekly 20 moving average as support. And every time the price... Oh, he's saying it freezes again. I don't know why it's freezing. I don't know. I'm not getting any drop frames here. Like the stream is all right. I don't know why it's freezing. Could it be my computer because it's hot? My computer is really hot. I can feel it. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if it's because of my computer. Which is a shame because I'm trying to make videos. So here, if you look at the previous times where the price of this weekly time frame was able to expand, you could see that every single time we had to come back above the weekly 20. Yeah, the weekly 20, see here? That held, and then the price went up. When you hold, that's one of the conditions that is required for the price to go up. Yeah. You can't go up until you flip the weekly 20 into support. And every time you reject, it continues to go down. Okay. And if you have to hold the weekly 20 to go up. If you can't, it will continue to go down. And so we're in a really interesting place here now where we're trying to hold the weekly 20 moving average as support, where we've put in a higher high and we've changed market structure to bullish. Now, I'm seeing an inverse head and shoulders here, and we've just formed the right. Now we're forming the right shoulder. Now this right shoulder can be anything as long as we don't take out that low. Taking out that low is not advisable, and certainly not advisable to take out the all-time low. We kind of have to hold for higher low for a breakout, and actually right now I would prefer if we can hold it here. Okay, and there's every chance that we can achieve that, just simply because of the way the weekly's closed. It's closed, even though it looks bearish, it's actually quite a nice close, because we've only managed to close, we've closed higher than 50% of the previous week's body. We've got a pretty strong support line at the moment around here, and ideally what we want to do is just find support here to go up. Ideally, that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment. That's kind of what I want to see. We've got an increase in volume on the monthly time frame. I'd rather that be a green candle. I've talked about that, and we have to see how that plays out. The 3-day candle is a bearish engulfing, and we're seeing a little bit of follow through on that. We have to see how that plays out. Let's have a look at the 2-day candles. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of follow through on the selling, but still we're getting quite heavy absorption here. I like to see absorption. We're getting quite good absorption on the price. I'm just looking at the CCI. We're getting quite good. We're still getting quite strong buying. Okay, that's what I can see. Yeah, look, we're in heavily oversold territory at the moment, and the price is getting nicely absorbed. All right. So what next? Well, let's have a look. I'm just checking some different indicators that I use. You got pretty strong support level at 6620. 6620 is pretty strong support level. Let's have a look at the volume here. And back into the local range here. We're above the overall point of control here and the local point of control. You can see that. I'll go on the daily time frame. My time frame. So I was initially talking about finding support back on this monthly level, and that is the point of control. And 618. It's a little bit tricky here, but I'm going to kind of explain to you what I think. So the trouble here is that we're getting quite a strong sell-off, right? We're getting quite heavy accumulation, but we're getting quite a strong sell-off here, and we need the momentum of the sell-off to diminish, and we kind of need it to hit this area full flat. Yeah, we need it to come into this area. We need the momentum to drizzle out, and we need the buying to continue. We need the selling to drop off. Okay, Until we see that, it's hard to know exactly where this is going to find support. But my target here, to be honest with you, is this value area low, which kind of coincides with the 618 on this trend base move to the downside. That's really where I'm looking for this to bottom out here. It'd get things a little bit bearish. Be back down at the 768. And that's only if I can't see the point of control offer support. And so that would be my ideal place for the price to find support for a higher low here, to do the right shoulder to go back up and break this inverse head and shoulders to the upside. That's my best place for this. And the reason why is because you have a V-shaped recovery here. That's a V, okay? And naturally I'll be looking for a 50 fib retrace, which is where we're at now. We're at the 50 fib now. Worst case scenario is 618, and that would take us to the point in control. That's what I want to see next. If this happens, I'll be okay. And then the confirmation would be to reclaim the 50 fib to get back up and to start forming some kind of breakout structure here to the upside. Basically, we're looking for a right shoulder to form here. If we don't get that, then this is your kind of the final. This is what you want. You take the liquidity from there, you find support of the value area low, you put in some volume here, you go right back up, and then you break out like that, okay? And so you have this kind of higher low forming here, but you're still forming the same idea, which is a right shoulder. It's just that this goes down and then goes right back up, okay? And you're just range bound here effectively. That's if we lose support here at the point. Ideally, we don't lose support. Ideally, we just hold here. And that would be the best case scenario for a break up. If we hold support and then lose it, we have to go back up and reflip it to go back up. And so we have to see what happens next with where the price is at. And no one can predict that. At the moment, we're range bound in this lower range. We are in bullish market structure. Taking out this low doesn't change market structure. Taking out this low has the potential for changing market structure. But right now, the market structure is bullish on the higher time frame. All right. So we have to see what happens now. I'm not feeling bearish because I think a lot of the news that's being published or posted is bullish. The fundamentals are bullish. Everything is bullish. Okay. Right now, what we're experiencing is some exits because of the news, but that could be it. There might not be any follow through. And what we're seeing is some heavy absorption. And I'd just like to see if the price of TRVL can hold this point of control to go up. That would be my best case scenario for TRVL. Otherwise, we're going slightly low, right? And we just have to see what happens there and then as it happens, all right? But I am still optimistic about this inverse head and shoulders. If that plays out, then we have a really nice target of around 3.2 cents. Back into this overall range would be a really nice increase in value if we can break out to the top side. And this would be basically your entry, your right shoulder entry on a market structure change confirmed to bullish on the weekly time frame. But this is really you're coming into the entry now to make this a really nice trade. And you could potentially go from the point of control where we're at now all the way up to the value area high. That's a 321% increase in value from roughly where we are now to my target. If we break out of this inverse head and shoulders to the upside, that would be my target. All right. I don't know if my stream is lagging anymore, but I have to continue and see what happens in the replay. Okay, so if you like this, please like and share. Let's have a look at ETH BTC and see what ETH BTC is saying to us. So we're getting continuation on ETH BTC. It's clearly crossed the point of control. We're back up to the 50 fib now. There's still a little bit more upside there if we're going to push up to the golden pocket, potentially. continuation candle on the weekly time frame. That's looking quite bullish unless we get a reversal here this week. That still looks like it could continue. There's increase in prices, increase in volume in the last 2 weeks. That is considered bullish. Let me mimic that with or combine that with BTC dominance to see if there's any kind of new information from there. Yeah, last week we had a rejection, a really bearish BTC dominant, probably going to get continuation this week. This is looking good for continued downside. Closed underneath, closed into the golden pocket. Let's get rid of these brush strokes now. Yeah, it's looking pretty good for continuation to the downside. Probably more of sell-off, to be honest with you. Just looking at that. Probably all the way down to 58% by the end of the month, probably. Look at that. It doesn't look bullish here. It looks bearish. It looks like we're flagging here for the back test, continuation, possibly. So and that's mainly because I think BTC is coming into some really nice support zones. I said the bullish, we got bullish CVD, and look, the price is going up. So this is looking like a really nice reaction from these lows. All right. So I'm going to stream tomorrow. I'm going to stream again tomorrow morning, probably about the same time here. Continue my streaming. I'm focusing on TRVL. I'm going to try and figure out this freezing issue and see what's causing the problem. All right. I hope you have a good day, and I'll chat to you tomorrow later.